People. So we're back with number three, BDSM, and this is the myths of BDSM. BDSM is safe. Okay, before this even starts, look at the wall behind me. Just here, I'll give you a clear shot. Look at the wall behind me. Those are my toys. I've spent years practicing, educating myself, playing with those toys. Those toys are dangerous. Nobody in their right mind will say BDSM is safe. It comes with a lot of risk, both physically, mentally, and emotionally. But if you actually educate yourself, learn about consent, you can play it safely. So let's get this started.
Third place is the myth that BDSM is safe. This simply isn't true.
I actually agree with that.
Unfortunately, the reality is much more unsettling. Physically unsafe practices in BDSM include, but are not limited to, beating, which can include...
Okay, he has on his little picture here, called, it says practices. Beating, cutting, strangulation, branding. And then he's got a picture of a fist, a noose, a knife, and a triple X brander. So,
striking across the face or flogging with canes or whip.
okay, striking across the face can be safe, quote unquote, if you know what you're doing. Okay, face slapping is not a standard practice. It is something that you have to educate yourself on how to do. How to slap somebody in a way that is going to put what needs to be in place without leaving permanent damage. Because if you do it wrong, on the ear, over the eye, too hard, yes, you can cause damage. But if you know what you're doing, just like anything, it is safe, quote unquote.
Cutting, strangulation by choking with hands, or hanging by rope or cable.
Okay, that's BS. Nobody does that. Nobody does that. Okay, strangulation, okay, breath play, you can look it up, is done with, no one is hung by their neck. That is too fucking dangerous. We don't do that. The people who do that are people who have a lot of control over the situation. Has there been times where it's gone wrong? Yes. But you know what? How many people die every year from extreme sports?
And most dehumanizing of all, branding with torched metal.
Okay. Branding is something we do inside the BDSM community. But it is not dehumanizing. It's something that is done because people want it done. They choose to have it done. Anybody who is branded non-consensually breaks every code of BDSM. Branding is something that people enjoy. There is a body modification style of branding that exists. No one inside the community would brand somebody without their consent. If they are, they're crossing the line. It's that simple. He's acting as if we just grab people off the street, bring them in, and brand them. It's bullshit. Now he has things dangerous, and he's got a whole bunch of, things, and you can watch his video to see that.
And what is the damage that comes from subjecting a body to all this punishment? Beatings can cause bruising,
Yes.
concussions, and risk internal bleeding.
Okay. If you are playing so hard with somebody that you are causing concussions or internal bleeding, you're doing it wrong. Yes, these things are potential, but again, if you do that, you're doing it wrong. We play with the human body in a way that the idea is we play with them to a point so that we can then bring them back to reality, and then days, weeks, or months later play with them again. The idea is never to leave permanent damage.
Cuts obviously cause bleeding and scarring.
And sometimes people want that to happen. Sometimes within certain styles of play, bleeding is the point. Leaving scars is the point. Have I burnt girls? Yes. Have I scarred girls? Yes. Was it intentional? 99% of the time? No. But there are times where, yes, it was intentional. The times that it were unintentional were minor and were stuff that went away in very short periods of time. But he doesn't say any of that.
Strangulation causes loss of oxygen to the brain, resulting in brain damage.
Bullshit. 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 There is a way to play with breath play safely. But you have to be educated to know what your limits are. And also give the person an option to stop you. No one does breath play without safety protocols. Okay? Seriously, no one plays with something that high end without some sort of safety protocols. Okay? I was in a class one time where breath play was being taught, and they had what we called a drop dead signal, which was the person had a ball in their hand, or you can even take like a scarf or a bandana and hold it, and as the person's being choked, if they start getting unconscious, they lose the grip, and it's stopped. Okay? Or it becomes too much, and they stop. This is called practicing restraint. This is called practicing knowing what you're doing. But, yeah.
And sometimes death.
Okay. Have people died doing BDSM play? Yes. But that's in the high-end extreme. But at the same point, name me another practice that plays on the extreme where people haven't died. How many people die every year from racing cars? How many people die every year from extreme sports? How many people die every year surfing? How many people die every year just climbing mountains? 2 days ago, a guy was riding his bike on a trail just down the way. He fell off the trail and died. Should we stop, make it that people can't ride bikes on trails because somebody died? Stupid.
Every year there are news stories of people dying from what the BDSM community calls erotic asphyxiation.
Okay, first off, erotic asphyxiation is not necessarily something that exclusively is done via this community. Michael Stipes from In Excess died from autoerotic asphyxiation. Nothing to do with BDSM. Okay? There are tons of people who die from autoerotic asphyxiation have nothing to do with the BDSM community. He's acting as if it's exclusively a BDSM thing.
Rounding, by definition, causes burns and possibly permanent scarring.
And sometimes that's the point.
These are major and potentially life-threatening injuries.
Okay. Here's the thing. Yes, they can potentially do that, but that's why we educate ourselves. That's why we practice. That's why we take the time to have conversations. We negotiate. We put in safety protocols. We get all of these things set up in advance so that when we do these things, we don't permanently damage people. Does it happen? Yes. But again, in any extreme type of activity, people will get hurt. People will die. BDSM is an extreme activity. To say that this is something that is exclusively to BDSM is completely misleading, and it's just it's smacking of somebody who has nothing is an agenda and is willing to create straw man and lie to make his point. So, number 2 is going to be BDSM is sane. This one should be fun.